Hey guys, it's Danny Bell. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on our island Aussibelle, and I'm so excited because we're doing our very first Acnh speed build for this island. I can't wait because we're going to be doing a neighborhood build. Just to give you guys a little bit of an update for the island, I went ahead and did a villager hunt off camera because I needed to get plots filled so that we could go ahead and get terraforming unlocked on the island. And y'all, I only regret the fact that I didn't record it because guess who we found for the island? Let's pop in and check it out. Right? Oh my gosh, it's Kit. I am so excited because she definitely was the last kangaroo that we had on our dreamy list to find for the island, and although I wasn't able to get any footage of when we found her, I am so excited to have her here on Aussibelle. For anyone that's new to the channel, I just want to formally welcome you. We've been working on an Australian outback island, and so of course we definitely had a lot of great suggestions from you guys on filling it with lots of koala and some kangaroos. So I thought for today's build, for the first speed build on the island, it would be really fun to do a kangaroo themed neighborhood on the island. So let's speed things up and get going because I can't wait to do this build together. So this is the area where we're going to be doing the build today. I really like this stretch of space. It's over on the back left-hand side of the island. I thought this would be a great place to start. Usually when I'm doing an island, I like to start at the entrance and build my way out, but I decided for this particular island it would be fun to start over in this area because I saw this straightaway and decided it would make the perfect little highway area that we could nestle in some of our kangaroo villagers. So the first thing we're going to do is put in some of this really amazing custom design. I really enjoy finding custom designs for my new islands. Do you guys do that as well? I just really like the concept of going online. I love to go on Pinterest to find some codes on there, as well as just kind of searching around for some inspirational pictures of what, in this case, Australian outback builds might look like in real life. So I was really excited to find this really, I don't know what you'd call it. It's almost like a dirt type of road, but it has this really great center line on it, and I think it's going to be a versatile piece to have kind of in at least the city portion of this island. For this particular area, I wanted to kind of do the front part by the plaza and the airport, just a little bit, I don't know, town or city-like, with a few little faux buildings and businesses. And then in this particular area, of course, we're doing the Kangaroo Neighborhood, and then I sort of envisioned the rest of the island being mostly natural, just like an Australian outback. So I figured this was a great way to sort of tie those areas together with this little highway. By the way, I will be sure to put in the description of the video a link to my Pinterest page where I will be sure to, as we do these builds on the island, list all of the custom design codes there in case you're looking for something like this to use on your islands, and any of the outfit codes as well. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and finish filling this in. I'll eventually be expanding this road all the way around the plaza, but I think this is a pretty good start. Now, of course, if you want this to show up on your map, you'll need to put some in-game path underneath this. I'm just going to leave it like this because I'm not necessarily looking to have it show up on my in-game map, but just remember that if you use only custom design, you won't be able to see this on your map, so it doesn't hurt to put some dirt path underneath it if you want it to show up on your map. We're going to go ahead and fill in the river over here. I really like this river mouth being on the side, but I realized pretty quickly that it's going to be in the way, so we're just going to have to work with it, fill it in, and maybe do a nice little pond area over here by this waterfall that we'll probably preserve over here for one of our kangaroo villagers. And I do like to round out some of my water and terraforming areas by making them look a little bit more natural, and as we go along, I'll kind of show you how I do that. It's definitely a work in progress. The next thing I like to do is mark out where our villager homes are going to go, so I try to take some in-game path and mark it out with a 3x4 square area just to kind of give myself an idea of where I want to put the villager homes after we move them. It just gives me kind of an idea of where to leave space so that when I'm decorating the area, I know where not to put decorations or path. And it just kind of gives me an idea of where the houses will go. And then what we'll do is once we finish decorating everything, I'll be sure to move all of our houses and show you what that looks like once everybody is moved in place. So what do you guys like to do when you decorate? Do you like to use custom designs? Do you like to use items? What's your favorite go-to? I kind of like to use a mix. I definitely am a fan of all these custom design paths. I found this really great dry grass path on Pinterest, and I really love this. I think this is probably going to be the path that we use all throughout the island because I think it's going to be really perfect for all of the natural areas as well. And I find that anytime I'm decorating an area on my island, using custom design path underneath really does give it a more natural look and feel. I just think it gives it a more realistic vibe, and I like the way that kind of mixing and matching the paths looks for the finished product. So I highly recommend if you're doing any kind of natural sort of vibe on your island, whether it's forest core or maybe you're doing a cottagecore island, which is perfect for springtime, definitely consider using some natural pathing styles. If you can make it look sort of meandering and not straight, I think that something like a grass path like this looks really great if you just sort of randomly move the pieces around and just use your imagination. I find that putting down the path first like this just kind of randomly gives me an idea of how I want things to sort of be spread out for the build, and then once I start putting items down, you'll see how it just sort of fills in everything very naturally, and it looks really great. It definitely gives a more polished, finished product look when it's finished. You can see Alfonso's sort of checking out the digs already. I really love it when the villagers come and visit when we're doing our hard work. It makes me feel a little bit less lonely when I'm building. All right, looking pretty good. Let's put in some more of this pathing. I also found this really great cracked dirt path. I really like this. I think that once we get a little bit further into the fall season, for any of you that have been watching this island journey from the beginning, since this is an Australia sort of themed island, I went ahead and started the map in the southern hemisphere. So everything is opposite of what I normally do, given that I'm in the United States. So it's been really interesting playing in the springtime, but having all of the fall vibes sort of transpire on the island. So everything's sort of turning greenish to yellowish, and probably in the next month we'll see that really more faded out yellow grass, which is what I'm anticipating to have at the end of the island, so that everything looks a little bit more yellow and dried out than this green color. But for now, it's sort of this green tonation. I do try to plan selecting all of my custom design paths based on what the finished uploaded dream grass and season will look like, so definitely trying to plan around that. I think that the green looks pretty good, but I think the yellow is really the tonation we're going to be going for and what is going to look fantastic at the end of this island journey. So that's sort of what the target is when picking out all of these different items and all the different custom designs for this island, keeping in mind that the grass does change in New Horizons with the seasons, which I think is a really great quality to have in the game. It definitely brings a more realistic vibe to the experience in Animal Crossing, and I really enjoy it. All right, we're going to be placing down a lot of this wheat field item, as well as some of the placeable trees and cactus. I really love these cactus items. They are customizable, so if you have a customization kit, you can choose a different option that has the little flowers on it. So I'll for sure be doing a few of those varieties in different parts of the island. I have a lot of really great plans on what we're going to be doing with some of the different areas on the island for some of the villagers. I really want to work on a koala area on the opposite side of the map, as well as maybe do a gator spot for Alfonso. I think that'll be really fun. So I'm really looking forward to doing some more of those builds soon. Really looking forward to doing a proper entrance build as well. So we might be doing that in the next couple of weeks and kind of doing an overlook view for that. So if you guys have any other suggestions on what you would like to see for this island, I always love to hear from you guys and love to hear all of the different creative ideas you have and how you envision this island, because I do want to share it with you, and it's just been really great starting this journey. And I hope that all of these different ideas are bringing you some inspiration that you might be able to take back to use on your islands. I found this really adorable custom design for the Kangaroo Crossing sign over here, which I thought would be perfect for the Kangaroo Neighborhood with a little highway going through it. I thought it would be really cute. And just as a disclosure, I found tons and tons of wheatfield items that I filled my pockets with. I definitely had to order a ton of these and visited a treasure island to try to get my hands on enough wheatfield for this island, because it's definitely an item that we're going to be using a ton of, as well as the termite mounds. So that for sure is something that I think is very helpful, is having, once you envision whatever theme you're doing for an island, if there's any items that you know you're going to be using excess of, be sure to find friends. If you can at least catalog it, it's a great way to be able to order it in bunches of 5 each day. I know that's a great way to start to hoard items if you need them in greater numbers for an island. In this case with the termite mound, it's a little bit difficult because that is a Gulliver item, and you can usually only get them one at a time randomly. So every now and then I have to rely on treasure islands to be able to get what I need for an island, and it's really nice that we're able to do that in our Animal Crossing community. It's great to have lots of friends out there in the different forums that exist for our community. Everyone's just super helpful and willing to share resources, and I just really appreciate that about Animal Crossing. All right, we're just creating this little sitting area here behind this one little spot for whichever kangaroo is going to be living here. I'm thinking maybe this will be Kit's spot, but I really like this. I like to be able to use the rocks on the backside of the island because I feel like they just afford so much extra space, and they definitely add a great extension to any builds that you might be able to do at ground level on the backside of the island. We're going to fill in this little area. I am not 100% sure on how I envision this little spot being. I know that I want to have a little bit of fun, playful little builds over here across from where this other house is going to be, so we'll have to see what transpires as we go along. I found this really cute dropped bottle pattern and I really love this, so we're going to have to get our hands on some of the little bottle item to kind of put next to it. And as I go through here, I'm just sort of meandering my way through, adding some more custom design path where I think it looks a little bit empty and kind of letting everything go. I tend to plan a little bit when I do my builds, but ultimately I just sort of wander around and see where I can fill things in. It's kind of a process. There's times when I'll put stuff down and it just doesn't really look right. I'm not feeling it, so I'll pick it up and move it around. That tends to be my style for decorating. I do pre-plan some of it, like I said, but oftentimes a lot of it is just trial and error and seeing height-wise what works for certain items and what doesn't, and just kind of working around it. Okay, we're going to fill in a little more wheat field. I found this really cute old cardboard box pattern. I really love this. I think it's just fun to have different patterns like that added into the island, especially if you're doing some sort of a more relaxed type of island build like this that's very unpolished. It's just fun having different dropped newspapers or cardboard. Kind of thinking I'm not 100% loving this cardboard box here. You can see what I mean when I say that sometimes I try items and it doesn't always work out how I think it's gonna look in my head, so we'll probably have to replace that with something else. I also found this really cute wooden worn board plank pattern over here. I think this is going to be great to use on the beaches, and I kind of envision having a little bit more sparse beaches for this island. I'm definitely going to give them some attention and love and decoration, but I think I'm going to do them more natural for the most part. Maybe for the front beaches, putting a couple of little faux buildings over in that area, but for the most part, just keeping it natural, and maybe even incorporating some of the barrier reef that Australia is so famous for over on part of the beach on the other side of the island. We're going to stick in some of these utility poles just to kind of give it a little bit more of a city vibe over here, because like I said, part of this island will look a little bit more city core, just relaxed city core, I guess, and then the back side of the island will definitely be mostly natural, but I kind of like how this looks. It sort of gives it that like Route 66 sort of vibe, and I just really think it's going to look all tied together once we're finished. Gonna drop a little can over here and kind of just fill everything in. Like I said, termite mounds I think are going to be a huge item that we use in this island a lot. So just adding a little bit of height differentiation and sort of spinning some of them sideways in a different direction to give them a little bit different profile, I think works really great when you're doing a natural island. The same goes for any of the cactus item as well as some of the decayed trees. If you spin them around sideways, it can really change the profile and how those items look and give it a more natural feel. I'm thinking as we kind of build up this area, it might be fun to do a little pottery area over here across from this villager home. So we'll probably gather up a few items that will coordinate with that. And then, as I said, I think I'm going to keep this waterfall over here. This is natural to the island. And when I can, I like to work with what we're given for our island. I do quite a bit of terraforming in certain areas on the island, but it would be kind of nice to preserve this little waterfall over here. So I think we're going to kind of deck it out a little bit, keep it over here. And since this is more of a desert style island, there's not going to be a ton of water, so I figure in a few little specific areas on the island it will be nice to kind of keep a little waterfall pond area, and then maybe once we decorate with the koalas we'll kind of keep a little water area by them, but for the most part it's going to be pretty dry on this island. All right, we're going to create a nice little seating patio area over here for this villager. I'm thinking of moving Walt over to this area. Now, I haven't fully completed Happy Home Paradise yet for this island. It's definitely a chore and something that takes me a little bit of time to kind of speed run. So as we go through, I may or may not change some of the exteriors of these villager homes. But to be honest, the kangaroo houses are actually pretty good for our theme. Most of them have sort of a yellow tonation. Walt's house is more of like a bluish gray, and I think it'll go really well with this rug pattern that we have placed over here for his front porch. So I'm just sort of working with what we have, and we'll see how it turns out once we get his house all moved in. All right, for our little pottery area, I'm going to be putting in this clay furnace. I think it's going to work really well for this space, and then kind of finding some of the different pottery items in the game that I think we can tie in over here. We have the unglazed dishes, as well as some of these pots and vases over here to tie it into Walt's area for his yard, and then even dropping a little piece of clay I think is a nice touch for this type of build. All right, now we're going to focus a little bit on this area. This is probably going to be Carrie's yard. She has a yellow house, so I'm going to try to find a few yellow items to incorporate here And we're just gonna try them out. Like I said, I like to kind of see height-wise how things look, and then once we get the house moved in, some of the items may or may not work depending on how everything looks with the finished product. So like I said, trial and error is definitely your best friend when you're building a huge build like this, whether it's your entrance or it's a village or neighborhood of some kind on your island. Don't be afraid to mess up. It's definitely part of the process. Place down some items, see how they look, and if you don't love it, don't be shy. Try something else, see if the height differentiation makes a difference, and just move things around. We're gonna put a few pieces of fence up over here just to kind of frame everything in. I think having just a few little pieces of fence around sometimes really does a great job framing everything in without making it too impeded with an entire fence surrounding the entire house. It's just a nice little touch and a tip that I have if you're doing a little neighborhood build, kind of adding a few pieces of fence here and there. We're gonna kind of swap these items out. I also have this scorpion model that I think is gonna look great next to these customized bottles, and then just finding a few little pieces like the log bench to add a little bit more seating for this area I think will work well. All right, let's give a little bit of attention to our waterfall area. If you're looking for some ideas for your island to do some terraforming ideas and how you can kind of shape in a natural waterfall area for your island, I think you'll really enjoy this one. It involves using some of the cave items and turning them sideways to kind of create the look of giant boulders and rocks on the side of a cliff. I really love this. The first time I ever saw this was by my friend Dana's Crossing. She has really great builds and she's really wonderful at doing natural style builds. But I really love this idea of doing sort of a waterfall cliff style build. So we're going to go ahead and of course add in some wheat field in the front to sort of block in the harsh seams of some of the cliffs. I know that when working with wheat field, it's kind of difficult because it's a square item, and in order to have it placed right on the edge of the cliff, you have to leave the cliff square instead of rounded off. And so my tip is to use some of these items in the game to sort of camouflage some of the areas that you're decorating on your island. I think that's sometimes the best way to decorate in Animal Crossing is if you can't get something to look exactly how you want it or you need it to fit, just use items to sort of camouflage it. It works pretty well, and I think that in the end it creates a nice natural vibe. So we're going to fill in with some wheat field item over here and kind of frame in the waterfall over here around the cliff base and just kind of make it look nice and natural, just like this. Love it. We do have a lot of new friends in the Animal Crossing community, and I'm really excited to see that. It seems like every time we have a Christmas holiday, a lot of new friends add to the Animal Crossing community. It's always great to see new people joining our community and sort of learning the game from the beginning. It definitely adds a new freshness to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and even though we're anticipating the new title hopefully coming out in the next year, I'm still taking my time and really enjoying New Horizons while we still have it, while it's at the forefront of everything. All right, we're gonna go ahead and create a second tier over here because we want to create this wow factor for this waterfall, and we're gonna basically bump up this waterfall over here from the behind all the way to the front over here. So it involves doing a lot of water terraforming, building up this cliff over here, and then kind of redirecting the river. I think that that's probably the biggest challenge for me in Animal Crossing New Horizons is learning how to terraform and just realize that it's a lot of adding and subtracting land. I find that I have to add a lot of land and then sort of chip away at it, just like if you were doing an ice sculpture. That's the best way I can tell any of our new friends to describe how to effectively terraform in the game. It definitely is a lot of trial and error and practice, but once you do it more, it does get a little bit easier, I promise. So don't be intimidated by it. Like I said, it's a lot of just trying it and seeing how it looks and then kind of stepping back from afar. I do that a lot when I'm doing builds, especially when we start working on some of the big views that we'll be doing on this island. I like to jump back and forth to kind of see how it looks from a distance because I think having a lot of picturesque areas on an island is, first of all, really great for visitors, and second of all, it can make you feel really accomplished in the game. So I like to kind of create some different views and frame everything in with some of these different taller items like the cactus and the wheat field, and then once we get them placed, I like to kind of bounce back and forth from far away to see how it looks from a distance to see if it's framed in. Yes, looking pretty good. I love this. What do you all think? I think that I might add a couple more cactus up there, but for now it's looking pretty good, and we're gonna focus the rest of the way on finishing getting these houses moved in and see how it looks for our kangaroo friends. Yay, I love this. Okay, y'all, we'll take the final tour of our Kangaroo Neighborhood. I hope that this brought you some inspiration because I'm really enjoying this already. I've never done a desert-themed island before in the game, and I'm just really loving the vibe of this. It's been really great being able to use a lot of the different placeable tree items and cactus, as well as tons of wheat field, and of course the termite mounds I think add a lot for this particular style island, but I'm really loving how this came together. We have our little pottery area over here for Walt. This right adjacent across from his house over here. He's got some of the pottery items and just a fun little balcony area where he can sit down, check out the little pond area, maybe do a little fishing. I figured that would be perfect for him. Being a cranky style villager, it would be really great. We're gonna head over here and you can kind of see we've got a little bit of a natural pocket over here with the dropped bottles and the scorpion. Lots of different cactus, including using some of the placeable little potted mini cactus over here on the ground. And then kind of creating this long driveway over here for Kit. I really like how this came together. But yeah, really loving this. I did add this little water puddle over here. I love this little pattern with the garden hose to make it look like it leaked all over the ground. And like I said, I will be sure in the description of the video to put a link to my Pinterest page, and I'll be putting in all of the different custom design codes that we used for this island there for you guys, so that if you're looking for some of those to use on your island, you'll have them readily available. Check it out, Carrie's even coming outside to check out the new digs. I love her. She's really been a joy to have on the island, and I've really been thankful that we found her on our villager hunt. Here's a few views of the neighborhood. I just love how this looks. I'm really loving the southwestern sort of vibe on here. Just loving this idea. Australia is for sure a place that I've always wanted to visit, and I hope one day in my lifetime I get to see it in person. But in the meantime, it's been really great sort of trying to come up with ideas and looking up different photos to get inspiration for this particular area of the world. And I'm really looking forward to doing more Australia style builds on this island. What do y'all think? Do you have a designated area on your island for any of your villagers, a little neighborhood? Let me know in the comments because I always love to hear from you guys. If you're enjoying this type of content for these speed builds for Animal Crossing on the channel, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really truly does mean the world to me, and it helps our little channel grow here on YouTube. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to doing more builds on Aussibelle as well as more subscriber island tours coming up in the next few weeks. Wishing y'all an amazing day, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.